The principle behind the SDGs is leaving no one behind. And to be able to do that, you actually need action at the local level. The frontliners in the fight against poverty and also in achieving the SDGs are really the local government units in a decentralized structure. So the local government units actually play a very important role in achieving the SDGs. During the MDG regime, a lot of emphasis was placed on the national government. So the national government committed to achieving the targets, and yet it was really up to the local governments to deliver on these goals and targets. So this time, I think we're putting the right emphasis on the local governments who will actually be playing a very important role in making sure that the targets and the goals are actually achieved. Key to localizing the SDG is the presence of disaggregated data. When we talk about leaving no one behind, that actually means having information on all the different population subgroups, on the different spatial groups, spatial disaggregations, and that means having information on each and every household and even individuals. This means that data from sample surveys will no longer be sufficient to be able to provide the basis for action. What we would need would be innovative data collection or monitoring systems that will provide us the kind of information that's needed to ensure that no one is left behind. And one such monitoring system is the community-based monitoring system that collects data on each and every household in the community and could actually be disaggregated or aggregated to generate profiles of ethnic groups, data by sex, data by age group, and other relevant disaggregations that could form the basis for policies and programs. In the case of the Philippines, the community-based monitoring system has been implemented and adopted by at least one province in 2000, and it's now being implemented in half of the country. The community-based monitoring system has been in place to primarily assist local government units in planning and budgeting. Now, this has been partnered with the UNDP Local Governance Diagnostic Toolkit, which aims to assess the capacities of local governments to implement and achieve the SDGs. So with the CBMS and the Local Governance Diagnostic Toolkit of UNDP, we could actually capacitate the local government units in terms of identifying and formulating appropriate responses to the needs identified by CBMS. And so with this and regular monitoring and evaluation through CBMS, we can actually track the progress of local government units in achieving the SDGs. So there's room for fine-tuning some of the programs in case we find that they're not as effective as we would want them to be. And we're also making sure that marginalized groups are not left behind. UNDP, the regional office of UNDP in Bangkok has actually come up with this local governance diagnostic toolkit, and we've decided to pilot test it together with CBMS in the city of Panabo in Mindanao. And what we've seen is that with disaggregated data coming from CBMS and the two survey questionnaires and data collection instruments from the UNDP Governance Assessment Toolkit, we can actually assess the capacities of local government and identify the gaps. And from this, we can actually inform the planning and budgeting process of the city to make sure that they can address the needs to be able to achieve the SDGs. In two things, we have something to share with the other countries. The pilot project that we did in Panabo is something that could be shared with the other local government units in the Philippines, but also with the other countries. So there's scope for replicating it elsewhere. At the same time, we also note that we still have a lot to learn in terms of policies and programs that accelerate progress towards the SDGs. And this forum that we're having right now is actually giving an opportunity to all the stakeholders to learn from each other. UNDP can play very important roles. One is in terms of sharing of information, and that's what this forum is actually doing, bringing together the different stakeholders and sharing best practices. But on a more practical level, I think UNDP can support the rolling out of the project that we did in Panabo to other local government units, because many local government units already have the community-based monitoring system. And so if we couple that with the local governance dashboard, then they could actually help in terms of providing the capacity of local governments to come up with programs and policies to achieve the SDGs. In the global front, I think this is something that could be shared with other countries, because we've heard that there's a lot of interest in localizing the SDGs, not just in terms of the framework, but really operationalizing it. And we've shown how you can actually do it.